Good morning, ladies. I am really excited to be here today to talk to you about the subject that I decided to speak on, which is what is the unique value of you? So to start out with, what I'd like to do is I would just like to define the word unique. So the word unique means one of a kind, something rare, something uncommon, something special and distinctive. So we're going to start out with a little activity. So you'll notice on your table there are some different shaped colored pieces of paper. And I'd like you each to take one of those pieces of paper, and I'm going to ask you a question that I want you to jot down a word or two about. And I purposely put 5 pieces of paper on each table so the last person to take the piece of paper wasn't stuck with no choice. So the question is, what is one thing about you that makes you special? So just take a moment and jot down something. Okay, so let's come back together, and I have another question to ask you. Because when I ask that question, jot down something that's special about you. What happened in your brain? What was the internal dialogue that happened within you when I asked that question? Did you quickly come up with something that you would put down? Or did you think to yourself, there's nothing really special about me. I don't know what I'd put down. There's nothing really special about me. Or did you think to yourself, well, that little piece of paper isn't big enough for everything that's special about me? Or was it something in between? So I would just say every single person in this room is unique. We were created from the moment of conception to be unique. Our DNA is different from every other person of the 7 billion people on this planet. Our fingerprints are different from every other person on this planet. We sometimes hear that every snowflake is different, and there's a lot of snowflakes that can fall in this area. So it's the idea of really embracing what is unique about us. And many times we don't do that. We don't look at the things that make us different. So I'd like to tell you a story about a woman that I know. And this woman decided to enter into a different profession. And she trained for over 2 years. And she learned the knowledge, and she learned the skills, and she learned all the things she needed to enter into that profession. But somehow, it never seemed to fit, even though she thought that it was a great profession to go into. And if she was receiving a like service from someone else in that profession, she'd always be comparing herself and saying, oh my goodness, their skills are so much better than mine. What am I missing? What piece is missing? Why don't I get it? Why is it that it's something missing? And what I will tell you also is that that woman was a massage therapist. That woman is still a massage therapist. And that woman is me. It took me a long time before I learned to really appreciate the unique value of me. So in massage therapy, we have the same parts. So a massage therapist is doing like work. But what makes me different from Michelle, who's not here today, or Dana, who's not here today? What makes my therapeutic massage different? And how did I finally come to the point where I learned to embrace that and feel unique? When we go back to the definition of unique, if we think of ourselves as special, as distinctive, as one of a kind, as rare, doesn't that sound attractive? Doesn't that sound appealing? Doesn't that sound like something you would want to be recognized for? Something that is treasured, something that's rare. But how many of us spend far too much time comparing ourselves to someone else and trying to behave like them, or look like them, or speak like them, or be like them in some way, shape, or form? If I entered the massage room and had a client on the table, and I looked at the clock, and I was going to do a 60-minute massage, and I sat down, 5 minutes on their head and neck, 8 minutes on their shoulders, 4 minutes on their right arm, 2 minutes on their right hand, 4 minutes on their right leg, 2 minutes on their right foot, 2 minutes on their left foot, 4 minutes on their left leg, 2 minutes on their left hand, 4 minutes on their left arm, turn them over, 10 minutes on their back, 4 minutes on their right leg, 4 minutes on the... Okay, I've done 60 minutes of massage. Does that sound at all attractive to you? No. It sounds very mechanical. And so it loses the uniqueness of the body that's on the table, of the person that has trusted me to provide them with therapeutic massage. It loses the uniqueness of my style, of my flow, of my skills. So I have to pay attention to the tissue beneath my hands, how that tissue responds to me. When I have a client who takes a great big deep breath and sighs, I know that I'm making a difference. I know that I'm accomplishing my goal to provide therapeutic relaxation. And relaxation in and of itself is therapeutic. We don't necessarily have to have an ache or pain or something awful to be able to take care of ourselves. So there's a uniqueness in massage therapy. Every massage therapist is going to be different. It's never going to be exactly the same. So there's a creativity and a uniqueness within that business. But there are many women in this room who are in businesses where they don't have the ability for that creativity. Many women in this room are in network marketing companies. You cannot determine the price of your product. You don't have that flexibility or, opportunity to change that price point. I also have ambient energy as an alternative because, as I said before, not everybody's going to come to me for massage, but I know everybody uses gas and electric. That's the most boring thing in the world. What's exciting about gas and electricity? Nothing. So how do I bring myself to that business? What is unique about who I am in that business as opposed to anyone else? That's really the key. Learning to value how I listen to people, how I interact with people, how I educate people, whether it's massage therapy or whether it's a network marketing company. It's about educating people and being concerned with how I can serve them. It's all about being of service and learning to embrace our gifts and not the lack, but the abundance, about the supply of gifts within each one of us. So I'm going to tell you another story. I have to tell you about my Aunt Mary. My Aunt Mary was an absolutely fabulous baker and cook. She loved being in her kitchen and creating. There was creativity in that for her. She loved when people came to visit, and she always had some goodies for you, of course. But when you got to leave, she let you go out to her freezer and shop. And she let you take some Kugelhof or some apple slices or some cookies with you. Her greatest joy was knowing that it was going to go beyond the threshold of her home, that you were going to share that with people you cared about. And her gift was going further than within her own home. It was a true gift. But I forgot to tell you one thing about my aunt. She was deaf. Now, some people would think that is a tremendous deficiency, the lack of the sense of hearing. Some people would see that as a real handicap, a real obstacle to living a full life. My aunt did not see it that way. She knew what gift she possessed, and she was happy to share that with as many people as she could. So once again, it's seeing not from the lack, but from the abundance. And I remember her saying that she was so grateful that she had not lost her sight, because she was an avid reader. She wouldn't have been able to read. She wouldn't have been able to do all that cooking. She loved when closed caption came out because she could watch Emerald and his band. She could watch all those cooking shows. She could watch all those chefs, see how they integrated new ingredients and new different things and take that into her kitchen. And once again, the creativity and the uniqueness of who she was and what she poured over her pots and pans and ovens and stove in her kitchen. So I would like to have you think of something. I think Jen had it with her this morning. You've all seen with some of the nutritional companies shaker bottles. Think of yourself as a shaker bottle. What is going into your shaker bottle? Let's shake it up. But what is going into that? Let me hear some of the things that you wrote down on those pieces of paper that were special. If you can share a couple of those with me.
They're sharing, right? Their hands are.
Speak up.
My
Yeah.
personality.
Okay, personality. Anybody else?
Authentic.
Authentic.
I actively listen.
Okay, okay. So those are the, oh, go ahead, Jen.
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability, okay. So those are the things that we put into our shaker bottle. That is what makes up, those are the ingredients that make up who we are and how we present ourselves in our business, in our relationships, in our lives. So, okay, vulnerability. We probably all have some vulnerability. So that's not really a unique gift. But what I would say the unique part of it is we may have those different ingredients in differing proportions. So some of us may have more compassion, more joy, a more keen ability to listen. That is what makes us unique. That is what creates the composition of this package of who we are. And so as I kind of come to a close, what I'd like to invite you to do is to think of yourself as a product. How many of you read labels when you go in the stores? We do that more and more and more. And we look at those labels to see what ingredients are in the product or what ingredients are not in the product. And so I have something that I'm going to hand out. If you can just pass these back. And it is a product label. I would like you to create a product label for yourself. The product label, the top line is me. The product is Karen. The product of Karen. The product of Mary. The product of Beth. The product of Jen. The product of Michelle. So think of yourself as a product. What goes into that product? The top section says, what are the unique benefits of this product? 3 things. What benefits others as well as yourself? What's unique about that? What are the unique characteristics of this product? And the next section is, what are the special ingredients? And then, what is the percentage of daily value? What's the value of that ingredient in your daily life, in your relationships, in what you bring to others and to this world? And then underneath that, you know, there's many products that go through formulations and different formulations and changes. So right now, let's pretend you are a version 1.0 of Marissa, or version 1.0 of Sharon, version 1.0 of Karen. What could you do to move towards a version 2.0? What would that look like for you? It might be adopting something that you want to hone, a skill, an ability, something in your business, whether it's understanding bookkeeping better, or whether it's learning sales skills better, or whether it's a hobby, something that would bring joy to you, but could also bring joy to others. What would it be? Say, take 6 months, or take a year, and really focus on really developing that and become a version 2.0. And if you're so inclined, a version 3.0 somewhere down the road. And on the bottom, as you'll see, I've written every single package, every single product in this room is all natural ingredients. There are no imitation ingredients. It's owning and really falling in love with who you are and how you present yourself and bring yourself to this world. You are 100% pure, unique, rare, and uncommon. And you are priceless. You are priceless. You are priceless to others. You are priceless to yourself. And so, as I mentioned in that story in the beginning, it took me a long time for me to really learn to embrace and to really appreciate how my massages were unique and what I brought to those clients who trusted me. And it made all the difference when I changed my vocabulary to say, I am a therapeutic relaxation expert, not a massage therapist. I owned that. It became my hat, so to speak. It became who I am. So I would encourage you to look at, you know, who you are, what you do, what's unique, and what you bring to others. And there's a couple people that I would like to thank. One is Laura, who is part of Toastmasters, in case you didn't know that, and who volunteered to let me bounce my fumblings off of her as I worked on this, and gave me some really great feedback that I was able to use. So I really appreciate that a lot. And I also would like to thank Michelle Smith, because I had gone to one of her workshops. It might have been last year. I don't even remember when it was. But one of the things that we did in that workshop was, I think, the beginning of that process of me coming to changing my title to a therapeutic relaxation expert. It was learning to find the specialty in my massage therapy business. And that is that massage therapy, my Be Well Massage, provides a safe and nurturing space to escape life stresses and overcommitments. So it was great to start that journey, and as I looked back and as I was preparing this, I realized that that was sort of, you know, an entrance into owning it in a different way. I would like to finish off with a quote that I think is very appropriate. And it is by Roy Lessin. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him, but it is titled, Just Think. Just think. You are not here by chance, but by God's choosing. His hand formed you and made you the person you are. He compares you to no one else. You are one of a kind. You lack nothing that His grace can't give you. And He has allowed you to be here at this time in history to fulfill His special purpose for this generation. Thank you.